Cancer.
Hello, Cancer. Happy New Year 2016. And who would know that a year could fly by that fast? Now, listen, we're going to be following your Mars cycle to just see where you're heading with your goals, your drive, your ambitions this coming year. As 2015 started you off with main focus on career, you were working through the whole social aspect of your life. Then you had a period where you needed, Cancer, to pull back there for a month or so. And then I saw how you came out. You were, your personality was expanding. You were putting more of your needs into focus, which I'm really happy that you did, because your focus has pretty much been on the partner. So your needs came out. You were balancing the value structure of your life. You were also balancing up your financial aspects. And then here towards the end of 2015, your focus is on expanding the area of communication and getting out and about, doing more things. And this being quite active and ending up here at the end of 2015 with focus on home, family, structure, also real estate and property, might be getting all your ducks in a row and so forth. And this is where January 16 is going to start you off. It's going to finalize the chapter of their late November into December, getting everything organized at home or also within family matters, Cancer. So it could be that your parents might have been needing a little bit more attention at this time. The fourth house is definitely our parents, but it's also family structure and the foundation of our lives, the foundation of our past and history. So those things have been quite in focus, and you're wrapping that up as we move into January. Now, you're going to have a long and extended phase now for love and romance. And I think a lot of you Cancerians will love to hear that. For those of you single, this would be really a time for you to find that significant other, that possible new soulmate. And for those of you in an existing relationship, well, you will come to find that this is more of a playful time in your life, because the fifth house is all about self-expression, bringing that inner sunchild out to play, interact, and merge with your partner. And it is also very creative. So you might find yourself here expressing your creativity, your talents, your skills here in a manner that feels very free-spirited. Now, the fifth house is also the business that you own, not necessarily the career where you work for somebody else. So those of you who are self-employed, you will find this a very expansive time for you. And it is also because Mars is going to be here for pretty much from January through that of July, with the exception where it's going to dip into your sixth house for a little bit. It will move out of that sign of Scorpio and into Sagittarius there for at least 8 degrees of it. Then it's going to retrograde there April 18th and slowly move back into this fifth house, stay there to June 30th, and then of course it's going to take us to July before Mars is back out of the fifth and into the sixth. So you can say in the overall, for the most part, you got 6 months. Love, romance, working those things out, finding that new love, being that fun, expressive sunchild, and make the most of it here, Cancer, because you have for a long time been undergoing a lot of changes in your relationships, the way you look at it, the way you work with it, the way this transformation now in your seventh house has been ongoing with having Pluto there. You know exactly what I'm talking about, right? So this is the time, and in fact the best time of the next 2 years for you to actually bring out your desires. And especially because normally it passes through really quickly, like between 4 to 6 weeks. You're having nearly 6 months here in this area. So it's going to allow you to heal And when it dives into that sixth house for a little bit, that's going to be you looking at how you're going to be structuring your day-to-day routine. But more on that a little bit later. That will come back to you there in July. And through August, you're going to see how you're feeling that much better about your life. You are feeling more whole. You're actually very energetic now, looking at how you could shape up physically. All right, we're looking at the nutrition you're taking into your body and asking yourself, am I working out enough? Those things will come into being. It's a great time to put down any new routines, and it will give you a very clear look at how you can improve this area of your life. You might feel that coworkers may need you a little bit more at this time, because I see how you're going to be supportive of them, helping them. It's a time of service in our life where we focus on those matters. And then Mars is going to move into your seventh house of the long-term committed type relationships, your marriage. Mars will be here for a few weeks, where I feel your focus is going to be dynamic on balancing between the two of you what is fair and what is not fair. It was very playful while it was in the fifth house, and especially in new relationships. We know how that is when fire is passionate and burning. But now when it gets to the seventh house, we're looking at each other. Are we balancing out? Are we being pretty much equal in what we give and what we receive? So, and that is going to follow through when you get into the eighth house of Mars towards the end of the year into the fall. It's the intimate area of your chart, so you're going to be sharing deeper, bonding deeper. But the eighth house is also about resources that you can share between you. And so we're looking at what is fair and what is not fair, who's paying more, who's paying less. That kind of adjustment might be coming in. And then, of course, it also means looking at taxes, how you can invest your money. We're not looking at the second house of monthly income. It's more the long term. Your IRAs and your investments, are they paying off enough? Do you need to move your investments? That kind of thing. Then we have towards the end of the year, Mars is going to end up with your focus on wanting to grow and expand your consciousness. A lot of spiritual energy here, Cancerians, for you, especially because Neptune is here in this area for you. And when we put Mars and Neptune together, there's a calling to move forwards, or I would like to say upwards in consciousness. Some of you might find yourself catching up on this area, deepening your spirits into maybe some of the spiritual and metaphysical realms. Maybe some of you might feel the need to sign up for classes, but it's also a time for you to prepare and do research as far as thinking ahead for career, which is going to be more so from January 2017 when Mars moves into your career. So whatever you're doing now, preparing, researching for expansion of career, this is what you want to do by the end here, December of 2016. We have a lot of retrogrades that we want to get through, so I hope you got your pen and your notepad out. We're going to start off talking a little bit about Jupiter and what Jupiter can do for you this year. It is going to retrograde January 8th through May 10th. For you, Cancer, it is in the area of the third house. Third house has to do with communication. It's how you communicate, what you communicate. It feels like a broadcast when it comes out. Why? Because Jupiter is really holding some really important insights. And this is something that I see you're wanting to share. You're sharing it with your friends. You're sharing it with your neighbors, in your closer community. Some of you will even want to speak, and give presentations on things. And in that case, you should do excellent here this year. The third house also includes our siblings. So some of you might be working through situations with your siblings for A few of you, it might just be expanding more communication, sharing more time with them, and especially those who live at distance, out of town or out of state. There could be more travel. Here, Jupiter loves to move, it loves to travel, and so you can see how that will come up. And if there's some unresolved issues, that could come about there between January 8th and May 10th. A great time to focus on it, catch up, heal whatever needs to be healed. And this is the blessing of retrogrades. Now, I know the stereotypical understanding of retrogrades is like, oh my God, here we go. Things are going to go haywire. There's going to be delays, miscommunications, and so forth. And sure, we can come to experience that. But the delays are actually blessings in disguise. Why? Because when the planets are direct, we're heading down that superhighway and we're not always paying attention to important details or opportunities. So when we have a retrograde, it brings back those lost opportunities. We get a second chance. It slows us down enough to kind of really heal certain situations or implement more, look at it differently. And we have 4 Mercury retrogrades this year, and I'm going to mention those dates for you too. And when we change our perception on retrogrades and start loving them instead of hating them, then this is when our life starts expanding and we can add more to our day-to-day lives from it. Now, the 4 Mercury retrogrades, the first one starts off January 5th through the 25th. 1 degree in Aquarius, which is your 8th house, Cancer, has to do with you now wanting to look at your expenses that go out. Is it fair between you and your husband or wife or your partner? Is someone doing too much or too little? Now that will balance out, but it's also you just catching up with looking at where your financial placements are. Resources as far as commissions and royalties might give you a time right now to kind of tweak it. Are you getting enough? Are you getting paid for those things that you're doing? This would be a time for you to look into it, negotiate, renegotiate, and so forth, so that you're in a better setting in the aftermath of it. And this is where the blessing of a retrograde comes in. It's also you looking at your funds, your investments, and are you getting enough interest on return? Your retirement funds and so forth. So whatever it is, do you need to save more? Now, when we have this focus, yes, it might slow us down on other areas of our life, but you can see that if we don't have time every once in a while to really look at the nitty-gritty of certain important things, we may never be able to set up a great foundation. So this is really good for you. The next one will be April 29th through that of May 23rd, 23 degrees in Taurus. For you, Cancer, that is your 11th house, your hopes and dreams. All right, so it's going to slow down so that you will feel enabled to focus here and look at what it is you're really dreaming up a storm about now these days. It's time to look at that vision board. What have you accomplished? What is it that yet needs to be accomplished? How can we tweak that vision board? It's also the area of friends, so you might just see that you'll have extended time here to catch up with old friends, and they may be reaching out. You will be hearing from them. And so, as we can see, there is a blessing in this retrograde as well. The 3rd Mercury retrograde, August 31st through September 22nd, 29 degrees in Virgo. That's your 3rd house. Now, Jupiter has concluded its over 1 year journey here in this area. So it has been expanding your communication skills and getting out and about. Some of you have traveled more than what you have for a long, long time, and you're liking it. And so this need for Jupiter now to go into your 4th house and expand that area, well, Mercury focusing on the retrograde in the 3rd house, it's more like I could see Mercury scattering around to see if Jupiter left any crumbs that it might snap up, like small little treasures, to see what it can do here and bring up those extra hidden treasures that can turn into blessings when it goes direct September 22nd into your fourth house where Jupiter is. And this would be a great time for you to start looking at if you've been wanting to move. This could be a great time for you to do so, just because Jupiter loves to expand the area that we live in. Now, the fourth and the last Mercury retrograde is December 19th through January 8th of 2017. So here, 15 degrees in Capricorn, that's the area of your committed relationships, your marriage, if you are married, or anybody that you work closely with one-on-one. This is going to allow you time to really work through whatever issues that might have been accumulating if you haven't worked through them as you go on. Some people like to stuff. Maybe your partner's been stuffing, and so here we go. It's time to communicate about where you're at, where you're heading, what your future goals are. Taking time off here, focusing on one another can only be a good thing in the long run. It's getting those scales up to balance. To see what Jupiter is going to be doing for you and expanding in your chart 2016, definitely do go listen to your moon sign or rising sign. Why? Because Jupiter here in your third house in your solar chart may give you blessings in other areas of your life when you do listen to one of those other readings. And of course, I'm really excited to see what your Horoscopes are going to bring in for 2016. And so make sure to subscribe if you want to receive them here. And listen, your partner, what is coming up for him and her in 2016? I bet you're excited to see what that could be all about. Listen, it's always such a joy to speak and meet up with you. And I just want to say blessings for 2016. May it be fantastic for you.